name is Jen Duncan. I'm the Director of Hospitality here at the Marianist Retreat Center. And last weekend we had a board retreat here, and Sister Grace is one of our board members. She's a Marianist sister, but I forget what they're called. The Sisters of Mary. Is it just Sisters of Mary?
Yeah.
I thought they had like a...
Yeah, no, I think Sisters of Mary.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah,
We'll go
I
with
mean, it's like FM is the initials, no, but that's like French. That's based off the French.
that. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
she's Marianist. I do
yeah.
know that.
It's Sisters of
And
Mary.
one of the things that she brought to us are the 5 silences, which is kind of been handed down from Blessed William Chaminade. And there's 5 of them. If you go to the next slide here, well, this is Our Lady of Silence. Before we get into the 5 silences, this was one of the pictures she shared with us, and I love it because it's like Mary's telling us to just listen. So this is something I did not know about the Marianist or the 5 silences until this weekend. So I did a little reading on it, and I found a couple different Our Ladies of Silence that you'll see throughout here. So next slide, please. The icon you just saw was actually commissioned by a Capuchin father, and it was based off this picture, which is an 8th century painting of Saint Anne, the mother of Mary. Yeah, that's kind of cool. It's on plaster, and I think it's in a museum right now. I think in Warsaw, maybe. So yeah, that's where it came from. And that icon is actually a modern day icon-like painting, and you can see that it was given to Pope Francis, and it actually sits between 2 elevators in the Vatican. I imagine, you know how people on elevators are. You're walking around and you see somebody and you and your friend are like, and then you get onto the elevator and like, did you see that? Did you see her? Oh my gosh, what is she wearing? Blah, 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 blah. Did you hear what he said? As the elevators are closing. But yet here is what Pope Francis put right in between the 2 elevators. I'm sure he had a reason for this. So, our Marianist spirituality is shaped by a system of virtues to become disciplined in what the founders called the 5 silences: the silence of words, of mind, imagination, passions, and signs. And today, all we're really going to talk about is the words, because you could have a whole week-long retreat dedicated to this stuff. So this is just the words. The 5 silences encourage us to learn how to use our gifts with intentionality. Has anyone here ever done mindfulness or practiced mindfulness, kind of meditation, clearing your mind of things sometimes? I like the intentionality part. That's cool. So silence of words, you're going to have to click a few things here. These are all the things it does not mean. I think there's probably 2 more that are going to fade in here. Now these are good things. These are probably pretty good things. But silence of words is a little deeper than just this. I like this one too. I thought that was pretty. Silence of words means we should discern when to speak, when to listen, how to use our voice for good, and how to use the power of silence for good. And I would say, as I was looking at these things, I reflected a little bit on how well do I know when to speak, when to listen, and how often do I use words for good and use silence for good. Those were some challenges. To practice silence of the words, we can learn from our Mother Mary. The first thing we can do is become aware of our own habits. So in my own personal, and I don't know about you, but in my life, sometimes I wait for people just to finish what they're saying so I can jump in and say what I have on my mind instead of truly just listening. Sometimes I interrupt people when I get really excited and I want to interject my opinion. And sometimes I zone out totally, especially at Mass. I'm so guilty of that. It's so repetitious that by the time we're saying the Our Father, I say, Our Father who art in heaven, and I have to do laundry, and I know I need to get my oil changed. And all of a sudden, it's the end. And deliver us not into temptation. Just zoned out the whole rest of it. So we can become aware of the habits that we have. The second one, become mindful of our listening habits. So, am I listening intently? When someone's talking to me, am I clearing my mind and just listening? Sometimes listening just means being silent too. That's when God, I feel, the Holy Spirit connects with me the most, is when I'm just silent. And then intentionally speaking. Mary didn't say a whole lot in the Bible. But when she did, it was with intention. And it wasn't wasted on blabbering about gossip or trash talk or tearing anybody else down or any sort of hate talk or even self-hate talk where, oh, you're so dumb, why'd you do that? What Mary said was intentional. And the two things she said, behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord, may it be done to me according to your word, and do whatever he tells you. If we just followed those two pieces of advice, our world would be such a better place. And I think, coming from a Marianist heart, anything we can learn from Mary about the silence of words, to take a minute, calm our minds, listen intently, reply intently, and do as he tells you, we're only going to be drawn closer to God.